Hey Siri. I'm so confused.
Confused about what?
How do I navigate my 30s?
I don't know.
Hello? Hi. Hi. So, is our life perfect and amazing yet? No, very far from perfect. What? But you're 30! I'm actually way past 30. What? Oh my gosh, you're so old! I thought by then our life would for sure be perfect! Have all of our hopes and dreams come true yet? Girl, I'll keep you posted. Okay, well you better get to work on them because— Welcome to my series where I dive into what adulting looks and feels like as women in our 30s. Tips and tricks, venting sessions, crying sessions, and more. I guess I'll have to tell 12-year-old me, I'm still growing in my 30s. Today is gonna be more of a vent session slash real talk session, unfiltered, of just the confusing realities of being in your 30s. I promise I'm not gonna make this like a negative video about this decade, okay? I'm very grateful to be in this decade, and not only am I grateful, but it's been really awesome, honestly. But we can't deny the fact that there's some curveballs I was not expecting. I think the first and obvious one is when you hit your 30s, this is our first time in our life where now we are officially aging. Like, I think up till now, you've just been developing, you've been growing, you've been blossoming, you've been like literally and physically just getting bigger, probably, getting prettier, getting to know yourself more. Your body is getting stronger. And then you hit 30 and you wake up one day and you have a backache and you have a kink in your neck and your knees aren't the same as they used to be. Like, it is the beginning. Oh my gosh, this sounds so bad, but it feels like the beginning of the end. It feels like you're over the hill now and you're starting to come down. And I know for people who are over their 30s might be like, oh my gosh, you're so young, what are you saying? But it is the beginning of it. Like, you start to notice your skin is sagging, the collagen is going away, like there's definitely wrinkles when you smile, and these aren't bad things. And obviously I don't like how our society like demonizes aging, but you also have to agree, like, it's not a great feeling when you look in the mirror and you see that. We try to be careful of the sun now, sunscreen's a big thing. I realized like I gotta get health checkups. Apparently colon cancer is on the rise for millennials. Like, these are things that I have to consider now, which I never had to before. And the beginning of aging, like, we're basically babies of aging. Here's how to age and age properly. And it's hard. I think it's a little scary. It's daunting, but I do always think about the quote that aging is a privilege. 100% agree with that. Not everyone gets to turn 30, 35, 40, 50, 60. And so I want to stay grateful, but yeah, it's still intimidating. In your 30s, dating, relationship statuses, all of the romantic gunks of life also gets really interesting. So first, the diversity of everyone's relationship status is so widened. Like, all throughout your teens and your 20s, it's either, oh, she or he has a boyfriend, girlfriend, or they're single.
Or, you know, they're having a thing.
Like, it really was just one or the other, but in your 30s, it is so many different relationship statuses. And how to navigate being a friend for someone in different seasons of their life. Like you have friends that are single, that you have friends that aren't really interested in finding partners. You have friends that are single and very interested and still looking, and like I've heard dating in your 30s is like not fun. Like the pool is not looking very deep and not looking very fruitful is what I've heard. Like you have a lot of people who are married in their 30s, and everyone's marriage relationships and like how they go about it is also so different. You have people who are still dating, or maybe they don't believe in marriage, or they just have partners that they live with. And then some people have like baby daddies and baby mamas, and they're kind of doing a single parent life. Then you also have people who are divorcees, like they came out of a marriage that didn't work. Like it's so vast, the walks of life that people are in, that like as someone who is married and has kind of friends in this space, like it's really interesting to figure out how to be a good friend in this space. And even when you're socializing or meeting people in their 30s, like it's just so vast and so wide. And I think that was something that I had to learn, was like, dang, as an ignorant 20-year-old, like I didn't think it was this intricate. I just thought it was very simple, black and white. You're with someone, you're not. And it's more than that. Like there's a lot more gray areas and more options to this, and life just isn't that simply black and white. And I don't know, something about that has required a learning curve from me, and it also puts like another level of empathy and understanding from my end of just knowing like everyone's path to what they desire in their romantic life, if they want one, is really different. For a lot of us, like I talked about my marriage in my other video, but yeah, like it's also sometimes like not the easiest walks of life. Like, yeah, relationship statuses, romance in your 30s is something else. Ladies, we cannot deny our 30s is so closely tied with the topic of babies. Like in most of my friend groups, I did have some friends who had kids in their 20s, but majority, it's either like the tail end of their 20s that they started, and majority is just their 30s. And I feel like I'm not just talking about getting pregnant, having babies, or like planning for babies. I'm also talking about motherhood. Like my friends who do have kids, the kids are young. So you're like starting your motherhood life in your 30s too. And like this whole thing is so confusing for me because, and it's also very personal for me, but I'm gonna have to make a whole other video about this topic, but I think it's just so shitty. We have this like 1 decade, if you will, where we are fully matured, somewhat financially stable, and then we have to decide, okay, are we gonna have kids now? And I envy a lot of my friends or the women who felt ready for kids really early on, or honestly, maybe it was just like a happy surprise. But whether you're in the boat of, I really want kids and I'm excited for kids, or I don't know if I want kids and it's scary, like, I just think the topic of babies and reproducing is such a heavy thing in our 30s, because when you hit your late 30s or 40s, that term geriatric comes in, right? So there's a lot more pregnancy risks, there's a lot more lower chances of conceiving, like all of that, and we just have to think of all of that. And so for anyone who just doesn't feel ready for kids, for anyone who hasn't found the right partner to have kids with, and it feels like the time is ticking, or you have kids, or you're pregnant and you're excited, or you're just like in the thick of motherhood, it's a lot. Like we can't minimize that. What I think is what we go through in our 30s is nothing compared to what men go through in their 30s. Like, let's be real. And it's so shitty. I'm gonna have to ask God when I meet him, like, why are we fertile starting at the age of like 16 and then, or younger?
That's a weird subject. Let's not go there.
But why can't it be longer? Like, why can't we just have a longer time to decide? And like, what? I really do think he's gonna say, honestly, I didn't know you guys would live till like 80. Most of you guys were supposed to die by like 40, 50. that's fair. And we've evolved and now we're gonna live to like 100. So we have a lot of time. And yeah, this is my pickle with him. I have a lot of thoughts, as you can tell. I just think whatever stage of 30s you're in, whether you're single, whether you have kids, whether you don't have kids, whether you want kids, whether you don't want kids, whether you're confused and you're deciding, like, I feel you and I'm with you, and women are incredible, and women in your 30s, whatever phase of this you are in, you are incredible. Like, it's a confusing time.
A little different than all the rest. I'm quite old-fashioned, where I had sometimes played chess. And when I'm out, I'm looking for that vintage fling.
My sister is in town and I really need to go get some new glasses. So I asked her and my cousin to come with me to do some glasses shopping. So let's get ready. You guys, I've been looking for a really good tinted moisturizer because I am so lazy and don't want to do like a full face makeup. This Laura Mercier tinted moisturizer blurred matte, especially for my oily girlies. Like, I don't want to use a sponge, I don't want to use a brush, I just want to use my fingers, and I'll show you. Look at that. The next thing I wanted to talk about was finances. In our 20s, all of us were broke. Everyone was broke. Even if you wanted to go on nice trips, like, you were going on a really, really tight budget. And yes, you had like your wealthy friends, or, you know, friends who are just from like much more well-off families, things like that. But in general, like, we were all getting paid pretty little, and everyone's broke and everyone's just trying to also like have fun. But in your 30s, like, the just wide range of people from who've done incredibly well for themselves and they're just millionaires. I don't know any billionaires in their 30s, but millionaires, they're just like raking in all this cash, whatever it is. And then you have your friends who are still struggling, or maybe they just started a business and maybe there's a lot of debt to pay off from law school, med school, like whatever it is. It's just like financial variety is so much wider. And I just feel like in our 20s, since we all just felt broke together, there was not as much of a gauge of like,
oh, how much do you think, they make? Or, oh, like, that's really expensive. Where do they get that money?
Like, if there was some of that, it was just because there was an extravagant use of it. But I think in your 30s, there's a lot more, I would say, like, financial gauging. I don't know. I mean, even me, like, I'm guilty of that too. If I see someone or like certain actions or purchases or the way they post or whatever, like, makes me curious. I'm like, whoa. And I just feel like it's more and more so in your 30s. Like, people are actually buying nice things now. Like, I did not buy luxury items in my 20s. I know a lot of people did and do, but yeah, I was too broke for that. But even like now, like, so many luxury goods, and women are proudly like, go for it. But yeah, it's definitely starting. And I remember hearing when I was in my 20s from someone, I don't know if it was my parents or like someone I knew, was saying that like in your 30s and 40s, you really start to see the divide of finances. Maybe certain trips, certain kind of trips that certain friends can afford, you might not be able to go to. And like, does that affect the friendship? Like, it's a really interesting time, like, to say the least. And like for women too, like I just talked about babies and what does that look like? And for so many of my mom friends, like, it's such a struggle even just working and being a mom. Like, watching them do that, it's like, it's crazy. And what does that mean, like, financially, if they were to maybe not work and take some time off and focus on the family for a bit? Like, there's just, like, money becomes a real thing. And I don't know if I was just being like careless and stupid and free. And if I had like $1,000 in the bank account, I was like, woohoo, in my 20s. And now I'm like, that's gonna last me not very long. Like, I have a mortgage to pay. We have credit card bills. Like it just, if we want kids, like medical bills. Here's my advice to my 20-year-olds, okay? Make some rich friends. No, I'm just kidding. Make friends based off of your values, your chemistry, your hobbies, the things you love. Potentially a hot take about the confusing things about being in your 30s is that there's an overwhelming sense of free will. Now, it's like, is free will a bad thing? No. This is gonna sound like first world problems. It is first world problems, but that doesn't deny the reality of it. Like for me in my 20s, I kind of locked myself up in the idea that corporate life, corporate ladder was the only way. And I don't think I ever even imagined that like truly the rat race was the only answer. And I never really thought about like happiness or fulfillment. I think I mainly thought about success in societal terms or worldly manners. Like it just, but I think in my 30s, I'm realizing, wow, like if you are in a privileged place where the world is your oyster, you could move somewhere, you could move to a different country, you could try a completely different job, you can go from like a super urban city life to sell everything and just kind of go on a ranch or a farm somewhere and learn how to live that lifestyle. Like I could literally pack a bag and just move out and live in the wilderness in a tent, and it's my life, like it's my choices. Am I making sense? It sounds weird, but that notion of free will is, to me at first it was very daunting because it's like, oh my gosh, like I really can do anything. And as someone I think who grew up around a structure of a lot of rules or processes, like this put me almost in a free state. In Korean news, a lot of times you hear about people who've ended their lives or harmed themselves in really, due to being in situations that are really toxic. Like there was a teacher who ended her life because she was getting really bullied by a lot of the parents, and it just became big news. And I think like in a lot of people's head, it's easy to think like, you know, why didn't she just quit teaching? Why didn't she move to the school? Like in our heads, it seems so simple, but obviously like when you're in that situation, it's so tough. And I think that's what I'm trying to talk about is like this life that we've imagined for ourselves of like, oh, how it should be, where it should be, what it should be. It's actually like unlimited possibilities, and it doesn't even have to be there. It doesn't have to be that way. And I think that is really incredible, and that's very freeing. And I actually think that mindset is really difficult to have, especially if like you're really defined by a role in your life or a job in your life or whatever that is. But adulting is confusing, free will is confusing, as weird as that sounds, but it's also incredible. I feel so lucky to be in this stage of my life and to be pondering these things. And yeah, like I guess this was a venting session about being in your 30s, but also I don't want to distract us from the fact that this is a really exciting time. From all the confusing emotions that we are going through, that we are trying to figure out and navigate, just like remember to stay grateful, stay excited, and I pray that we all build the life that we want and we don't forget our free will to do so. If you're in a tougher spot, I pray for light at the end of the tunnel, for strength to get there, and for good days to come. Cheers to our 30s and cheers to still growing. See you in the next one.
Kissing